Good evening, guys, and welcome to the Midwest Motorsports Cool Down Lap podcast. This is episode 8. We're coming into this week with a special guest who's going to be on here after we get through the This Week in Motorsports. So, without further ado, I'm going to go through an introduction. I'll go through what I found interesting, and then James can introduce himself, and so on and so forth. So, I am Anthony Castor, the driver of the 8 car in Cup Series. And really, the only thing I had to talk about this week, guys, was the new race rain update in iRacing. And if you're listening to this and you have not had to try it yet, go ahead and try it out, guys. It is actually really cool. James, what do you got?
Hey, man, I'm James J. Do the commentary for the Trucks Friday, Cup Sunday, and the GT4s on Tuesday. My This Week in Motorsports has got to be the IndyCar opener at St. Petersburg, won by Joseph Newgarden, Team Penske. And it's a great street course fight and good race. And not surprisingly, Roman Grosjean was a jerk again. That's my two-minute splurge on This Week in Motorsport.
Yeah, Justin Taylor, 00, running the Truck Series, Cup Series, and the Road Series. Kind of lackluster what you'd expect in F1 this past week, but the midfield fights were really great and entertaining. Really only one safety car. I think a lot of people were expecting more, but Max ran away with it. Of course, Sergio Perez was a little closer. I think he wasn't too far off, but yeah, kind of outside of the points, and from ninth back, it was really really entertaining with a lot of good battles.
Yeah, there was it was a pretty big snoozer. Red Bull, it looks like, is definitely going to run away with that this season. Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and hop into our guest segment this week. We have driver of the 36 car on the Road Series, Francis Faustino. So let's go ahead and get him up in this room, and we can get to meet him. Hey, Francis, you there?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Francis. Welcome to the podcast. You're
Hello,
on
guys.
with Justin, James, and I.
A full house.
Yeah. So normally we bring people on just to get to know them a little bit better, because really, aside from racing you, we don't really know much about you. So each of the hosts here are going to just ask you a couple questions, just really get to know you, or kind of gauge your experience with the league. So I'll go first, man.
Okay.
So about how long have you been with the league?
I just started the beginning of last season. My friend James kept bothering me about it, saying, "Hey, man, you should join." It's like almost every day he's like messaging me, and at first I was like, I don't know, maybe maybe I should try it, but I didn't really want to commit because I didn't know what the league rules were. But after I did my first race, it's like the preseason, it seems like everyone was pretty cool about it. So I just decided to join.
Nice. That's a great way to get into it, man.
Mhm.
So to get away from the iRacing aspect of it, do you have a dream car, man? Something that if you got the money for it, you'd buy, and in the real life here?
Actually, that's a hard question because as a kid, yeah, I mean, yeah, everybody has a dream car like that. But now that I'm a bit uh, older and more, I don't know, aware of the situation of the world, I guess I wouldn't necessarily buy an expensive car because there's just so much more you can put the money on, like investing and a house.
Man, don't give him the money for the car. He's going to invest it.
But if you had it and all the stars aligned, Francis, what would it be?
Probably a Ferrari.
Okay.
I don't know which one though because I'm not really updated in the the cars, but I really like the F40 though.
Okay. So going back to that in iRacing, what's your favorite car to drive on the service?
On the service,
Yeah.
I do like the 296, the Ferrari 296, but I
Okay.
haven't driven it a lot.
Yeah, I
So
got you. And is there a favorite track that you have?
I do like Road Atlanta and Spa. Road
Ooh.
Atlanta is about like 40 minutes away from where we live, so I kind of consider that my home track.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Those are both good tracks. Spa, I never really appreciated it until Justin got me into sim racing. He was like, "Hey, you need to try this track out. Beautiful track. I love it."
Yes, it's very fun.
Yeah. So I'm going to let James ask you some questions here. Go ahead, James.
Well, first of all, I want to just give you a little bit of a background. Francis and I go way back, probably 10 years, maybe more, right, Francis?
2011.
Yeah, dang, man, we're getting old. Um,
Yes.
yeah, we both share a hobby of flying remote control airplanes. So there's a old airport near Stone Mountain, which is a park, the largest exposed granite in the world. They made Stone Mountain Park out of it, and they used to have not a commercial, like a private airport there. They got torn down for the '96 Olympics, so they demolished half of the runway. The other half of the runway it was kept owned by the park, and so Stone Mountain Park made an RC park out of it, and so that's how me and Francis met, flying planes. We had a similar plane, and so I've known Francis for a little while, Facebook friends, and I see that he was starting to get his sim rig going and developing, and then his YouTube channel and stuff like that. And I said, well, why here? Check out this iRacing league, and I would drop hints, and I don't want to force it on him because I don't know, as you know, Francis, you can't lay it on too heavy at the beginning. You kind of got to get him warmed up to it, to the idea. So little by little, I nubbed away and finally convinced you to go. So first, I want to ask Francis, what motivated you to get in the sim rig racing world? Like, were you at Micro Center one day, just had a wild hair and wanted to
Well,
start
no,
racing, or where does the love for sim racing come from?
I've been sim racing like off and on, more off really, like years off. I'm talking about since like 2006. I get interested in the hobby and then I drop it for a few years and then come back and I'm interested again. And the most recent one that I got interested in was, I think, back in 2016 when I was playing the PlayStation 4. What got me back into it was my wife back in June last year. She had a a, a work related trip to Toronto, and I just tagged along. And one of the venues, the night's venue, the first night's venue actually, for the event was at an arcade. And on the arcade, they had an iRacing setup. And the company gave us a, a, a lot of credits just to play the arcades. And I pretty much spent all my credits on that sim iRacing rig. Then when I came back home, that's when I decided to start putting up the rig, because even if I was thinking to myself, even if I lose interest for like a month or a few years, when I pick back up the hobby, I'm really into it again. So I thought it was okay.
Oh yeah, you always had the top of the line airplanes and the top of the line controller, and the latest and greatest
No.
airfield equipment. So that's not a surprise that you go top of the line with
No, it's not
anything you
top of the
do.
line.
And I know you and Jan, you were just still dating when we first met. So it's fun to see.
Yes.
Congratulations on how far you've come, man, and your
Thank
family.
you.
I'm glad that you're able to have a little bit of time for yourself in the sim rig and just kind of escape the real world sometimes, right? And go racing with us. So I'm glad you found Midwest Motorsports.
Thank you.
Justin, do you have Any questions for Francis? Anything you'd like to know?
Oh, absolutely.
Uh-oh.
So, I just do want to say, I kind of we chit chat every now and then, and it's always great. I really love having you a part of this league, and glad that James was able to convince you and to finally do it. Have you been a member of any other leagues, or is this your very first league in iRacing?
It's like the first, I guess, the official, because way back when 2006, 2007, it's basically just a small group of friends on Steam, and we were playing. We were probably like less than 10, and there's nothing official. We just get together every week and do tracks. But this is the first one where it's actually set up as a league. Yes.
What have you? I guess so. You've been with us long enough to kind of know, and I think now you have a really, true understanding of kind of how our league operates and how we handle things, and we like to involve our community and kind of shaping how our league is, according to like the seasons are. So, like, I guess what are some things? What are some things you really like about the league, and maybe are there any things that you kind of are okay with, or just kind of like, man, I would like to see something, maybe change for the next season, or things like that?
I mean, the main thing that I like about the league are the people. Obviously, I do not like multiplayer gamings in general because, well, first of all, I'm not good enough really, and second of all, in my experience, a lot of the gaming community are kind of toxic, especially on chat. But I didn't feel that in the league, and everybody was just really nice on the voice comms and on Discord. So I feel like it's just a nice way to connect with people that has similar interests as I am. And what was the other question?
What maybe do you not like so much, or what
No,
would you
no.
suggest anything to change? It's okay, man. You can be honest with us.
No, it's actually that's one of the things I like about the leagues as well, is that the admins actually listen to the user feedback, because ultimately, it is all of us that do all the races. So
Yeah,
the
I
user
agree
feedback is
wholeheartedly.
important.
Absolutely. Do you enjoy the GT4 class, or is there anything else you really like to drive?
No, I do like the GT4 class. It's fast, but not too fast. I guess it makes it more accessible to more people with less skills than the aliens, and because driving in the sim is not really that easy, and the faster the car goes, the more difficult it is to control, especially the ones without the ABS or traction control. So yeah, the GT4 just makes it much more accessible to more people that wants to join the races and kind of keep it clean as well.
Yeah. So who would you say, like, and if you don't want to say names, that's okay, but who would you say maybe is like maybe a couple of your rivals, currently in the Road Series, or, not rivals as in, you don't like the person, but a friendly, somebody you really want to, have a good competition, and somebody you're really trying to beat?
Probably you. Yeah,
That wasn't
because you're better than me, but I think it's achievable to kind of stay within like a few places of you. But I'm
I
not
will
gonna
say,
be. But I'm
last
not gonna be
season,
able to constantly finish ahead of you. That's what I'm saying. But it's a challenge.
last season was I had, I think, the most fun battling you, because there was multiple races that, it was like you and me, we were either fighting each other, or one of us would get to the other one. And um brand patch, I think, last season in the sprint and feature was so much
VIR.
fun.
Yes. The second one, yes. The second brand set.
He already literally paid for those sins, James. You don't need to rub it in. but I have so much fun battling you, and I was really like, I think you qualified last week ahead of me, so I was like, oh damn, like that's how this is gonna be, huh? So it was actually my goal last week for sure to make sure I was able to get to you and have a little battle with you, and we did pretty early, and I
Yeah,
thought it was fun.
my biggest challenge right now is really my mind. I know I can do a pretty decent laps on practice, but come race day, I'm usually like half a second to a second slower. But it's just an internal battle with myself.
Is that like, are you nervous, or like what do you
I
think is affecting you in that way?
initially I was nervous, but lately it's I'm not nervous anymore, but I can kind of still feel. I guess I'm pressuring myself in a sort of way
Mm-hmm.
to perform better because, like with the road Atlanta, I was doing the first few laps on qualifying, and I was like saying, "Okay, I'm slow today. I'm slow today." And that lap that I actually got the sixth place, I think. I just kind of let my mind go and say, okay, I'm just going to concentrate on actually driving how I did on practice. And I kind of did surprise myself that I placed that high, considering how good the grid is.
Yeah, yeah, you did have a very good quality. And so I have two more questions and then a comment. I want to be cognizant of time here, if that's
Mhm.
okay with Anthony.
No, that's all good, man.
So, my first question is, um, are you so we're three races into the season, 12 more races to go. Are you confident that you'll become more confident since you changed to the Mercedes, or are you kind of like, man, I wish I would have sticked with the Porsche?
Oh, I think I'm a little bit more comfortable with the AMG. I think it responds more to the style of my driving because I feel the Porsche you have to kind of throw it around the corner, and I'm not confident in doing that. I feel like I'm always going to over rotate and spin the car out when I throw the car around like that.
Mm-hmm. I
Brian
did that
Coxon,
once.
yeah, Brian Coxon with his McLaren. I saw some of his replay, and he really throws the car around like he do a mini Scandinavian flick to the opposite, and then throw it onto the corner. And I cannot do that.
Yeah, he's lights out in the McLaren, and
Yes, he's
last
very
season I
fast.
was like, man, if I could figure it out, what the trick is here, maybe I could be a little bit better, but that never really came. And I'm personally liking the Porsche a lot. I think it's a very uh, fun car. I was expecting my performances so far to be a lot worse, honestly, but
You're
I'm
doing
enjoying
pretty
it.
good. You're
Yeah,
doing
thank
pretty
you,
good this season.
thank you. My next question: what are your overall goals for this season of road? If you
Really,
have
just
one goal, what would it be?
really just trying to improve my racecraft. As I said, I'm a beginner with racing because a lot of the when I was racing back, way back when, I was mostly doing hot laps and AI, and I'm not doing a lot of racing against people, which is one of the reasons why I decided to join iRacing is because I want to be able to practice, but I want to be able to practice for something. I don't want to just keep doing hot laps for the sake of it, for the times. I want to be able to practice and then race against people, and that's really my main goal is to just to better myself at the racecraft, and kind of be able to hang with the top 10 at least. I guess that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I would suggest is I usually practice with the AI. If our track is AI enabled, and I turn them up quite high, and I usually actually start at the rear and just try and
Pass as many
methodically
people.
move through the field. And even though it's AI, you don't want to just bulldoze your way through. But
Yeah.
that's something I've kind of find to help me, and then you can really push to see what your expected tire wear and stuff like that's going to be. So, um,
Hmm.
I guess my final thing is kudos, because you put together an awesome stream. I usually always try and go back and after a couple of days see if you've uploaded, our last week's Road Series, and I've enjoyed a lot of the funny comments and the situations that maybe something wasn't didn't go as I guess you wanted it to go, but you're a good competitor. You're a great clean driver. You race everybody respectfully, but you race everybody hard. And I'm really glad you decided to join us. And hopefully you're here for the long haul, and we'll be glad to have you.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, Francis,
Yeah.
I got one more little thing I just want to chime in on and notice that, first of all, you've come a long way just in that first season to your second season. I see, I don't know if aggression's the right word, but I see you taking a couple more chances, and it seems like you're getting into the groove faster. And I think that's the sign of a developing driver, and that you're taking it seriously and, again, respectful, but trying to turn it on a little sooner. And I think that will continue as you get more comfortable, and you'll continue to take more chances sooner. Of course, I'm not telling you how to drive. I'm just telling you what I've noticed. That I like the change and the guy that's going for it now instead of I don't want to say instead of, but just I see a positive change, man, and it's good. And your lap times are going down. Tell me about your pit stop strategies and understanding the fuel. I think that's been a little bit of a learning curve too. Do you think that's kind of slowed you down? And how do you I don't know, maybe Justin or Ant can fill you in on how to get better at doing that if you think that's a deficit.
Well, initially I was doing just auto fuel, and I felt that the auto fuel was putting way too much fuel, so I kind of decided to start calculating it myself, which I can kind of do. But like Road Atlanta was the first ever race that I did, like ever, that required multiple pit stops. So I didn't really know what I was doing, and I did a three stopper, and
Yes, you
everybody
did.
and everybody did a two stopper, and I was so disappointed in myself. I was like, why would I do that? And I didn't, after the second stop, I didn't really have a choice because I went short, very short on the first stop. So I had to do a three stopper at that point. After the first stop, then, but I kind of thought to myself, it's a learning process and it's okay. I'm not gonna make that mistake again, hopefully. So I'll try using the auto fuel again, because it seems like that's what a lot of people just use, and I think I'm just overthinking it in terms of fuel, and I just want to drive the car, because once I drive the car, I cannot calculate. I cannot diverge from my fuel plan. It's like I have to put in this much fuel. I have to stop within this range. Otherwise, I don't know if I'm going to finish the race.
I know that you use crew chief. I personally just use the calculation for him to tell me how much to the end.
Yes, I'm setting it up right now. Yes.
And then I have a button mapped for fuel to end.
Yes.
So it'll iRacing will just fuel your car up based upon how much he tells you to the end, and that's worked well for me.
Mm-hmm.
Justin went through pit lane 4 times last week, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's because he
me.
hit the wall a couple times, had a meatball, but we'll save that for the Road Series review coming up.
Thanks.
All right.
All right, Marcus. I got one question for you here. It's kind of a two-parter, and then we'll call it an end here to this interview segment. So, do you run any endurance events outside of our league, like the 24 Hours of Daytona or the Sebring 12 that's coming up? And if not, do you have any interest in participating in those in the future?
I actually do not. On the Discord, somebody actually started a group of beginner iRacers that concentrate on on endurance officials. It's not a league, but it's just a group of people that kind of signs up and like, hey, I want to race this, and who wants to race with me, kind of like that. And I've been asked a couple of times or a few times to join, but I said that I don't really have any desire to do that right now because between all my for our league, between just all the practice that I do for the weekend plus the race, the 1 hour, 2 hour races that we have, that's really enough racing for me for now.
That's
Because I
completely.
practice about like 3 to 5 hours for a track for the week, so plus the race. So
Yeah, that's completely understandable, man. Well, that's all the questions I got. Unless Justin or James have anything.
If you want to do endurances, there's we have the
We got a
special
couple guys saying that they love the
Forum.
commentary on your YouTube streams.
thank you guys.
All right.
Good
Well,
time.
Francis, thanks for joining us here. Thanks for being a great member of the league, and look forward to seeing you race some more, man. And definitely want to have you back on in the future.
Thank you.
All
Yeah,
right,
thank
buddy.
you, Francis.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. So that was Francis Faustino, driver of the 36 in the Road Series. He seems like a great guy. Haven't got to talk to him before this. Definitely hope he comes back a little bit later, either this season or beginning of next season, just so we can kind of touch base with him again, see if anything's changed on that endurance front. But aside from that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move into the Road Series, guys. So, James, would you like to go over road?
Oh yeah, man! Road Atlanta for the first endurance race of the season. Hour 40-minute race. Absolutely incredible race. Up front, Brian Coxon, Jason Phillips, Josh Bloom, and there was the fourth guy, Travis Rowe. We're all hanging in there up front. Lots of back and forth. Justin was in the race too. So, how did the race start for you, Justin? We'll talk about maybe the first stint before the stop first.
Yeah, it went pretty good. I want to say I moved up, I think, to about like 7th or 6th, maybe, if I recall, at the
You were
stop.
in the top
So,
5 for a while.
yeah. So it was going good. The Porsche felt really, to me, really, really good there until, of course, it didn't. But a couple guys from behind were starting to gain on me, so I was losing pace a little bit. And the hardest thing for me was to decide what I was going to do about the tire situation. Honestly, going into the race, I was kind of on board with Francis. I thought it was going to maybe be like a 2 and a splash. But after my second stop, I realized like I was well under the fuel load limit. So I knew it was good to go at that point. So I was feeling good, feeling comfortable. Leaders went in the pit. So I know Justin Gleckner was kind of on pace with me, and he was kind of always kind of hovering around like the 3.5 second mark or closer. And we went through our pit cycle, and I know Jesse Coffey, one of our BMW drivers, one of the very few, he was very quick too, and very consistent, and he's kind of seemed that way over the past. We've only had 3 races, but he always seems like if he's kind of right, towards the midfield, he's always going to end up working his way forward. So it's really cool. So I was kind of anticipating, like, after maybe my second stop, like who am I going to be racing coming out of the pits? So seemed like a really good race. Wasn't a whole lot of trouble for myself. There's a couple of decent good battles. The first opening lap for myself, it was so tricky coming uphill out of turn 1 with how narrow, and then coming down through the S's. It was definitely a risk versus reward, especially with the lap 1 rule, and it was how much do you really want to push that? And then another driver I was kind of battling all night was the 81 of John Daniels. So he was always kind of like right there. And I don't know if you want to kind of want me to tell everybody what happened to me, or if you want to kind of drop the ball on that.
Well, I remember as you were for your race specifically. I mean, you were in the top 5, and then I think after the stop, did you take 2 or 4 at the stop or none at the first stop?
I actually took 2.
Right. Okay. So it was turn 5, and I don't know if you missed it. We were in car with you too, and on the replay, and it just looked like the car didn't turn. I think you got a little bit of curb on the inside, and that lifted your front wheels, and then you just kind of went straight, driver's right across the big curves in turn 5, and that's the final left before you go up the hill in the S's, and plowed the wall, the tire wall there. So I don't know what. Do you remember that specific incident? What happened?
Oh yeah, I think I just I think I ate way too much curbing on there. I think that was at the point where I think Jesse Coffey got around Gleckner, and I think he was well around a second or less. And so I broke my own rule, and I looked up in the mirror at the wrong time. And I think I tried to just push it too hard to really get a good exit out of 5, and I took too much curving, unsettled the car, and when I went to hit that wall, like I felt like I actually hit it kind of square, and my car kind of bounced off it, and kind of put me perpendicular to the track on the exit line, and literally like. It took longer than expected, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like, do I really not have that much damage?" And then, of course, I get a meatball, and I didn't plan on. So the worst thing is I was outside of my pit window for my second stop, so I had to save about 4 laps of fuel over that entire run. So towards the end there, I was just trying to get somebody to just give me a draft, and it was kind of funny because I got behind Chris Hopper once on the back stretch, and he just slows up and he's like, "Go ahead around, Justin." And no, to Justin Gleckner, I was like, "Damn it, Chris, I need a tow. I'm not trying to get around you right now, buddy." But it's all good. I managed to do it. I think I finished 10th, so that's okay with me, given the circumstance. But I felt like I was probably good enough, to finish better than that. It's just the fuel saving was very difficult there. There's not a whole lot you can really do at that track to take advantage of any lift and coast to save that much fuel. So that accident put me way outside my pit window, and I felt really bad towards the end there. I think there was a lap car going in, that left-hander chicane off of the back stretch before the Fox Bridge, and the 81 of John Daniels was in front of me. He made a great move on the inside. He didn't do anything wrong, and unfortunately, I contacted him enough, gave him a 4X, and that's when he had to serve a drive-through, and I feel pretty bad about that. He said, "Don't worry about it," but when you don't do something, like that, and that's the outcome of it for somebody, it kind of makes you feel pretty low. So, still a little upset with myself about that, but that's my responsibility as the car behind. But felt bad for him, but he ended up getting me in the end, anyways.
Yeah, John Daniels has come a long way too. I'm just really glad to see so many competitors, man. I mean, 33 cars at the start of the race. A couple guys dropped out, and I hate to see that. But when it's not fun, of course, you can't hold that against anybody. But there were races up and down the field. Again, the top 3 or 4 were going great. Josh Bloom and Max Bauer got into it a little bit, and it's hard to place fault on anybody, but you got to leave racing room, both sides, and So that was kind of a bummer. And then it took a little while for Max Bauer to spin around and rejoin the track. Well, speaking of rejoins, Justin Glockner, after your turn 5 wreck, Glickner just barely missed you. You were trying to find reverse, I guess, and right at the last second to avoid you, and you found reverse and backed it up to get out of the racing line. So that was,
Yeah,
I don't know if
he had to clean himself up.
Yeah, he needed new underwear after that one.
For sure. Oh, and unfortunately, Jason Phillips. That was. I mean, I laughed about it. He felt terrible, and I think that he's just not used to how either long the nose is on that Mercedes or how wide that car is. But
that was coming to the checkered flag.
Yeah.
So all the way down at the end. So Brian Coxon was in the lead at the second stop, came in first. Jason Phillips and Josh Bloom stayed out for one more lap, and they came in for their stop. And by the time Phillips and Bloom came out, Coxon was still just now coming across the start-finish line. So I think Coxon had about an 8 or 9 second longer stop. I don't know if he didn't take tires the first stop or what, and just wasn't able to stretch out the gap during that second stint. But for the third stint, Brian Coxon was playing catch up and he was gone. So Jason Phillips takes the white with Josh Bloom like a second behind, and me and Aaron are calling a race, and they're coming up to lap Justin in the 00 and in the braking zone at turn 10, and just ran over Justin Taylor like he wasn't there. And Bloom got around Phillips for, of course, I'm exaggerating. Of course, Phillips didn't do it on purpose, but yeah, it was just a bummer that was the winning or losing move. I mean, it's just the adrenaline's up. You know, Jason was on the edge of his seat. We just talked to him in the podcast a couple weeks before that, so we know how excited he is and how happy he is to be running up front with such great competitors. They were just great racing up and down, and it was Josh Bloom takes the win in the pros, and that's how it ended up for the first endurance race. And I believe Dan Gish, Ian Bakaitis was the first in the AM division. So congrats to Ian Bakaitis for his win. He had a pretty eventful race too, with a couple of offs. Racing hard, he went off under the start-finish straight and was able to get it back on the asphalt after being on the grass for so long. And, he went wide in turn 1, and that usually is a foregone conclusion that you're going to find the wall if you get on the grass in turn 1 going up the hill. But he was able to reel it back in. So it's lots of good driving. I'm real excited for the next race. We got an off race tomorrow, which is going to be a weather race. Is that right, Justin? You want to talk about that?
It's gonna rain.
It's going to rain. Bring your wet weather tires.
Yeah, so I'm a firm believer in our off weeks being open, to members of our league as a whole, right, regardless of series, and always having free content. So we're gonna kind of stick with the theme lately. We're gonna do the cup layout of Watkins Glen. So the free cars that have the rain enabled are the Toyota GR86, and then the Ray FF 1600, which is the Formula Ford. So I did some really kind of tomfoolery with the timeline editor. So Brian Coxon made a comment in the road chat and was like, "It's gonna like rain every other 15 minutes," and I just told him I just want to stress test his laptop that he races on. So he's going to appreciate that. So it should be a good one. Not sure if I'm going to make it or not. We're going to find out though. So yeah, we'll see. It should be fun, and it's not easy. I've done a race already in the rain, and it's something interesting.
So that's tomorrow night, 7:00 practice start. Watkins Glen short, the cup layout, and sign-ups are open on the Discord.
All right.
All I got for the road series. Great racing. Looking forward to getting back on it.
Heck yeah. Interested in watching that rain race, see how that goes. Okay, so we're going to move on to the truck series for the oval side of things. It looks like the trucks were in Darlington. Ooh, that's a tough track for the trucks. It looks like Ty Williams ended up winning that race. How did it look, James? Is there a lot of incidents in that one?
It wasn't too bad. There were 8 cautions for a total of 33 laps, and that includes the stages. So really only 6 cautions.
Ain't
A
bad.
couple of them were, I think, lap 1 had a caution as they bunched up on the start. But noticeably absent were Dustin Reinstedel, who took a provisional. It was out of town or had other commitments. So I'm not saying that Ty Williams didn't deserve it. He ended up winning by almost 5 seconds over Michael Samia and Justin Thaler. Justin, you and Michael had a great race. When did the last caution come out? And how were you and Michael racing? I saw Travis Jones up front a lot too in the '96 truck, and he's somebody that we've been watching progress as the series goes on as well, right, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know when the last caution came out, but I was just really just trying to take care of my tires, and it did definitely pay off because a lot of the restarts, I seemed to always get on the line that the leader wasn't in, so I didn't really get a great jump. But I was always losing spots on the restarts, but everything, as long as we had a long green flag run, everything kind of started to come to me. So I didn't really qualify that well. I think I qualified outside the top 10. But yeah, racing wise, I felt like it was probably one of my better all around finishes, and battling Tamia was a lot of fun. A couple more laps, maybe I would have been able to get to him, and it's not an easy track to pass on, no matter what you're racing there. So um, overall, everybody I felt like had a decently clean race.
Yeah, Darlington, the track too tough to tame. 13 trucks finished on the lead lap, and with that win, Ty Williams led 103 of 110 laps. So only left 7 laps for anybody else to lead. And with that win, Ty Williams takes over the lead in the championship with the bonus points and everything like that. So now Dustin Reinstedel is 41 points back from Ty Williams. After starting with a 50-point lead, he now finds himself almost 50 points back. Michael Samia third in points, another 25 back. And Brandon Thayer and Justin Thaler are fighting it out with only 5 points, separating Justin Thaler and Brandon Thayer, 4th and 5th right now.
Yeah, it looks like missing that race didn't help entirely much with Dustin's case there. It's surprising to see it was such a clean race. That track is a tough track. I was just expecting more people to end up in the walls and damaging their trucks, but good job, truck drivers. I mean, that's a tough track. I give it to you if you can run a clean race there. Xfinity Series was in Texas over the weekend. Looks like Dustin ended up winning that race. I did get to go back and watch the replay on that one. Unless I missed it, there were no cautions other than the 2 stages. So super clean race for the Xfinity guys. Michael Scamilla came out with the pole to start the race. I think he led about 7-8 laps before Dustin started challenging him for the lead. Dustin ended up winning stage 1, and then Cody Anderson ended up taking stage 2 away, and of course Dustin there got the win. Like I said, it looked like a relatively clean race. It didn't look like there was many cars beating and banging or anything like that. Pretty respectable driving for the 13 drivers that did show up for the race. So good job, Xfinity guys. That's hopefully getting some people off that IPL list. So the points for Xfinity, it looks like Dustin's kind of walked away with that one. 126 point difference between him and Mike Scamilla. With Dustin's consistency, I don't see him relinquishing that lead. But again, like James likes to say, or anybody in racing likes to say, this is why we run the races. Something could happen. So we'll see how Xfinity shakes out, but right now it's looking like Dustin is going to kind of walk away with that championship.
My buddy Chocolate Myers says, "Don't take the hats to victory lane until the checkered flag's in the air."
Moving on to the Cup Series. The Cup cars were out at Darlington over the weekend as well. Dustin ended up winning that race. I started out on the pole and then threw it away probably about 12 laps in. That's a tough track. I mean, it's rhythm racing. If you don't get a rhythm or a groove going, you're just going to find that wall more often than not. And then these next gen cars, I mean, you can hit that wall coming out of two a couple times, but more often than not, you're going to have a bent steering wheel. So
How do you know?
well, let's just say
Personal
I
experience.
I got to take that wall on a couple dates over the weekend.
I got your seconds on that one.
Yeah, I ended up hitting the outside wall, the inside wall.
Inside. Yeah.
Yeah, the inside wall is what did me in. Coming out of turn 2, I believe, the tires just gave, so I stepped on the brake hoping it would straighten the car out. And it straightened it out, but it didn't straighten out in time. It ended up putting me in that inside wall. And it
That
really
happened
did.
a lot. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
called that race, and I was noticing that even it wasn't just you. Jason Huffman did it. Chris did it a couple of times. Where coming out of 4, most of the time is what I remember. Is usually where you get the Donkin stripe because you kind of diamond that corner off a little bit. Aim for the apron on the entry, let it float up into the wall, and then diamond it off and try to get your Donington stripe as you exit turn 4. And a lot of times the steering input as the tires wear, it seems like there was so much steering input that in order to avoid the wall, you had the wheel turn so much that by the time the track straightened out and you wanted to straighten out, the car was still turning left. And people just started tank slapping off of that. And I think that's what caused them to hit the wall on the inside. Am I reading some of that wrong, Justin? I know that happened to you, but I think it happened to Ann at least twice.
Well, I didn't hit the inside wall, luckily, but I will say, to add to your comments, I think part of the misunderstanding about the track in general is that I think Huffman actually said it kind of the best way is that Darlington kind of it baits you into thinking you can drive it harder than you actually can. I mean, there was towards the long run there, once your tires got worn, like 3 and 4, I was pretty much just rolling the corner. I mean, maybe 30 to 40, 50% throttle input. So like, you can be a little greedy on rough fresher set, but once your tires get to wear, you really kind of have to just let the corner develop and before you get on it. In the racing line, I don't know if you've thought, Ant, but like it really felt like the groove moved. Because there at the end of the race, that normal racing line there that I was running at the beginning was like ice. So the car's just really dancing around, and you just have to really either be direct with your steering and light with it, or real easy with utilizing the throttle to help the car rotate when you want it to. Did you feel that at all, Ant?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I want to say it was after stage 2. It felt like the normal racing line was pretty much a sheet of ice. And that's the thing though with Darlington, there really ain't many places you can go in the corners. Like you can try and put it up high with new tires, but you put it up high with old tires in turn 3 and 4, you're gonna be riding that wall the whole way out. It, I will say it felt like coming out of 3 or 4. If you were coming out low, coming out of 4, like below the top line, like you want to come out as close to the wall as you can. If you were coming out lower than that, I felt like more often than not, your rear end was coming around. 1 and 2, 1 and 2 is where I had almost all of my issues. It just seems like coming out of 2, you get that false sense of security that and JT, you know this, is you're going in between 1 and 2, and you're in the throttle. You aren't coasting through 1 and 2. You're in the throttle, probably about 50, 75%, and then you get to the point where you can tell it your car, like, okay, if I get in the throttle now, the car's going to carry out towards the wall, but it ain't going to hit it. But after you do that 10, 15 times, like, it feels like you get that false sense of security. You can go, okay, I've been doing 75% throttle. Let's do 80%. Let's do 80, 85%. Let's not floor it, but let's get close to flooring it. And then as you're going through the corner, it starts to shake and shimmy, and you try to let out of it, and before you know it, that just carries you right up towards the wall. Or if you let out of it too much, you end up stalling your car out. And then when you get back in the throttle, it starts to come out from under you. So I love the track. It's probably my top 3 favorite tracks. But it is a tricky track, and I think that's what I like about it so much is it's just a fun track. But yeah, definitely the racing line was changing, and I still am a firm believer that the oval refresh, where they said the lines are going to change, I think that's playing a big part in these races with these racing lines starting to feel like ice.
It ain't gonna get easier.
No, it ain't. So Dustin ended up winning the race. He had a pretty marginal lead. Justin, I think you brought home second, if I am correct. Yep. We didn't have a whole lot of competitors out, so it was easy way to score a top 10, start, and run the race. Looks like Dustin has a 91-point lead on you there, Justin, for the lead there between first and second. Ty fell back a little bit. He's now 131 points behind the leader. So let's see if he can make some of that up. Jason ended up jumping me for 4th place. And from there on, I think it's just a 50-point difference between 5th and 6th. Myself and Norm, 58-point difference. So we have to be coming down towards the end of the season here in the oval side. Well, we got like 4 or 5 races
left. Yeah, something like that.
That was 17 of 21. So you got Watkins Glen coming up next week, all 3 series, I believe.
Yeah, Watkins Glen next week for all 3 oval series. Don't worry about wearing your rain boots. The oval cars aren't running in the rain yet, so yeah, it looks like there's 3 races after that. So anybody that's at a deficit here, we got a little bit of time to make up, but then that's it.
Give a hell on Sunday for me yet.
Oh yeah, I forgot you won't be able to make it.
I'll be leaving the house at probably like 4 in the morning. So
You going to Bristol?
no, I wish. I gotta go out of town. So
Roger.
Yeah. Aside from that, I mean, that's basically all we got for the podcast this week. Anything from you guys? Anything we missed?
I'm excited about what's next, man. I think it's been a great week of Midwest Motorsports racing, and I'm excited about the week to come as the Oval Series wind down, and now that the first 3-week segment of the Road Series is underneath our belt, kind of getting a lay of the land of that. But looking forward to seeing how these championships play out.
Yep. All of our league members, if you're in the oval side of the series, be on the lookout here in the next, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks. JT, we're going to be dropping the seasonal polls for you guys to fill out and see what direction the oval series is going to go in. So just be on the lookout for that. Pay attention, guys, and participate as much as you can. Your guys' participation helps us out a lot here. It makes the racing better, keeps everybody in it, and we appreciate everything you guys do.
Yeah, and anybody who hasn't joined one of the fun runs that we do when we're off on the Road Series, it's a no pressure race. It's just there to kind of have some downtime and have some fun, and We try not to make it too hard. Everything's free. So if you haven't tried iRacing Rain yet, tomorrow night should be a fun one.
Oh yeah, the sign up for that fun run is in the announcements channel, correct?
Yep. Announcements in our Discord.
Yep. Anybody that's in the league can run in this. So it looks like they're running the Formula Ford and the Toyota GR86 at the Glen. Yep, at the Glen. So if you guys are interested, go ahead, head on over to the announcements channel. It's the first thing in there. As soon as you get into it, sign up and have some fun, guys. Aside from that, that's it for this week. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you guys at the tracks.